Oh man, I really want to be part of the superhero group. I mean, I've tried out a bunch of times for a few different ones and just never get the call back. But I know this time's going to be my time. It's going to be my
Okay,
time.
okay. You need to just calm
I
down.
can't help it. I'm just so excited.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you wanna calm down, just chill out for a minute. What you should do is listen to the Pod Bros Network.
The Pod Bros Network.
Yeah, they've got tons of different podcasts. They've got stuff about video games, stuff about movies. They've even got Pencil and Ink Reviews, which is one about comic books, which is about superheroes, which is what you are.
Oh, there's a podcast I can be on, huh?
Sure. I mean, you'd have to chill out a bit, but okay.
Sweet. I'm going to download those right now.
All right. Sounds good.
So, what's your superpower, by the way?
Oh, me, I say sentences that are slightly homoerotic. I like penis.
Maybe we should just listen to the Pod Bros Network.
I like penis. What's up, everybody? I'm Richard,
And I'm Sean.
and we're speaking the language of bromance. And there is so much. There's so much that has been happening.
There's
so much
There's
that
a lot of nerdness going on.
I have nerdgasmed. I don't know how many times this week. There's so much. Okay, and that's the thing. I don't even know where to start.
Well,
much.
The big news is that brand new Jurassic Park poster that shows the new dinosaur. Am I right? Am I right, everybody? That's the biggest news that's happened in the last couple weeks, right?
You hear that? I know that it's over the internet, but that's the sound of nobody agreeing with you.
All right, Richard. I'll let you take the stage on the big news. So what?
Fucking Star Wars, man.
What do you think? What are your thoughts?
So much. There was okay. Star Wars Celebration has just recently happened, and we got a good 2 minutes of a trailer for The Force Awakens, which is out this Christmas. And I am beside myself. I made little kid noises when I watched it. I was like, yee! Woo!
So what was your favorite part of that whole trailer?
I can't peg it. Honestly, there were the little voiceover that Mark Hamill does where he kind of re-recites the lines from Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Where he's talking about the Force is strong. You see the Vader mask, and I was kind of okay, all right, that's cool. And then you hear him I have it, and then you see R2 and the little mechanical hand.
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
that's fucking Luke. Ah! And then you just I don't know. It's one of those things that you see so it's not it's like going back to high school if you liked high school. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see that. It's going back to something you're comfortable with and you understand and love, and it's something you probably never really think you're ever going to go back to, and finally you get something.
Right. It's I mean I like Batman a lot. But to me that that story's kind of been told. So when you get to see when you get in that kind of headspace and see somebody do something different with it, but you still get that flavor. It's familiar. It feels good. It's like pajama pants.
Well, I guess you can compare it to Batman's kind of like your Pizza Hut, your Papa John's. You might love it and it's great, but it's it never really changes much. It might get better year to year, but but your Star Wars is this very unique, out of the way pizza parlor that you can only get a pizza from there once a year because it's always so busy and they only make so many, kind of thing.
Right. But it's so good. You get 2 minutes and you don't even see anybody's face until the very end. Well, I mean, you see the new characters, but you don't see any of the old characters' faces until the very end. You see the hand on R2, and you're like, it's Luke right there. And the lightsaber gets passed, and this is Leia's hands. And then you have craziness ensue with stormtroopers. Did you notice that they kind of revamped the Stormtrooper look?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, they kind of changed the face on it a bit, and I'm
Is there a reason for that, or that you know of
I'm
from
not I'm
lore?
not sure. I have no idea. Also, did you notice the one Stormtrooper decked out in like the like I'm guessing it's like chrome
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, I thought
with the
somebody was
little
saying,
half cape and the blaster? I'll tell
yeah.
you what, $5. I'm saying that's Boba Fett.
Oh, you think so? You think he's still alive?
Well, yeah, I mean, like he had the little half cape like Boba Fett did, and like he's walking. He even has that like that swagger that Boba Fett had with his, when he's like you see him walk with a blaster. I mean, the armor's similar, but it's not,
I always find it interesting how Boba Fett like has such a huge fandom, but he was really only in the second episode for what, 20 minutes, 30 at the most.
He was in he was in Empire for screen time. Probably wasn't that long.
Yeah.
I'd say less than I like total screen time. I'd probably say 10, 15 minutes, maybe, if that. And then Return of the Jedi, obviously he gets thrown in the Sarlacc pit. Although in the expanded universe, he does find a way out of the Sarlacc pit, like he crawls out of it.
He kills the Sarlacc from the inside out or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. But he manages to get himself out of the Sarlacc pit.
So I know a lot of people are going to talk about this trailer because it was huge. What's something that a lot of people aren't going to discuss when it comes to this trailer? What's something that maybe was very very in the know? You'd have to know to notice something in there. Is there anything like that that you've noticed?
Um, for me, it was like I said, like one thing was probably the Chrome Stormtrooper that I'm betting is Boba Fett because of like I said, like the way he's kind of dressed and that kind of walk and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know, but we'll see. What would be another thing? It seems like they're spending a lot of time on Tatooine.
Yeah, somebody was saying that the desert in the opening isn't that though. It's a different planet
Yeah, yeah.
where the big ship had crash landed.
I mean, the gist I'm getting kind of from the story, or at least from what I'm seeing from this first trailer and now this one, is it seems like the I can't think of the actor's name, but the one that's playing a stormtrooper, it
Yeah,
seems
no.
like he's somebody that like, goes through, the stormtrooper training and everything and then gets kind of like disenfranchised with whatever's going on and then gets kind of wrapped up in it seems to me like I get the impression it's going to be kind of one of these stories where you have the old kind of handing it off to the new, because it's almost like I mean, people have kind of described it as like two separate casts almost. You hear talk about Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford, and then you have these newer actors, and but it seems like it's kind of separate. So I'm kind of wondering if this is going to be that kind of if it's going to be a kind of movie where like they make like a tip of the cap to the last 6 movies and then say, okay, this is what we're doing. Because I mean, they kind of did. I mean, J.J. Abrams kind of did that with Star Trek too.
Yeah, to an extent. Well, I think that'd be the right thing to do because if you stick around too much with a Harrison Ford and all of them, that you're really just rehashing the same story and you can't really let it grow. I know they want to do a lot of like or not independent, but they want to do a lot of solo films with this. I mean, they really want to build this Star Wars universe similar to the Marvel universe.
Right, and I mean, and also, I would say, totally. I mean, we've heard details on the new Star Wars movie Rogue One. That they kind of released some of that a few days ago, and that looks like that's shaping up to be really, really decent. You have they put out a trailer for the new Star Wars Rebels cartoon on the Disney Channel, which looks amazing.
Did you see the new trailer for the Star Wars Battlefront?
I did.
Oh, that looked legit.
And the fact that they were like, this is gameplay footage, I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I'm like, are you sure it's gameplay footage? I mean,
Right?
that looks like Darth Vader. I haven't played video games in a bit, and that's one of those that almost instantly I want to go and buy.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Plus, the old Battlefront games, I mean, that's something I could still pick up and play. And you run around as a stormtrooper or a clone trooper or whatever, and you're like the boots on the ground in the battle. How can you beat it?
Yeah, and you get all the cool toys that you get from Star Wars, and it looks like at some point you can become Boba Fett or you can become Darth Vader, or I don't know if they have anybody else, but who doesn't want to be a Jedi or have a lightsaber or just be a general badass?
We all do. It's the secret. It's the secret of us all. We all want to be Jedi.
Oh yeah,
It's
Force
the
move.
unspoken thing that that we don't talk about until now. We all want to be Jedi. Ladies, gentlemen, I'm telling you now, that thing where you're like, God, I wish I was a Jedi, but you don't say anything because you're afraid the people are going to make fun of you. No one's going to make fun of you because we all want to be Jedi.
Not now, yeah. Everybody wants to be it. I was all excited in college when I went to the doctor one time. I had this burning sensation, and he said I had chlamydia. I thought it was chlamydia or whatever it is, and yeah,
It butchered that. You thought you had a midichlorian count. Turns out
but he said
it was the
chlamydia.
clap.
I said, so I'm like a Jedi now? He's like, no, here's some penicillin. Go clean yourself up.
And then you were like, I don't need that penicillin. And he's like, no, you really do. Like, it's weird down there.
But I want to have force powers. He's like, well, you're going to be forcing something out, but.
More like a discharge. But yeah, I mean, the the trailer they had for that Star Wars Rebels, it seemed like it was kind of the same thing when it came to like animated series, because it seems like with the season 2 they're kind of tipping the hat to the Clone Wars series. Like you see, Vader's in there, and you're like, holy shit! I'm like, they're fucking bringing Darth Vader in this shit. Then you have they bring in Ahsoka Tano, which was Vader, or not Vader, which was Anakin's apprentice in the Clone Wars series and the cartoon movie they made. And so you're like, holy shit, like, she's in this. Like, what if they meet? Like, how's that going to work? And then and then it even went to, like, Captain Rex and, like, clone troopers that had survived the war and now, like, are off doing their own thing. Like, it seems like they're just threading that needle, and I love it. I do. Like I watched that trailer, and like you hear voices, and you're just like, look at that! It's Captain Rex. It's Darth Vader. Oh my god!
It's pretty crazy that like at times it seems like whenever they made these like cartoons based off of TV shows or movies, like they just kind of half-assed them. But this day and age, like they take a lot of pride and put in a lot of work to make these things work. Like you look at the Clone Wars, you look at the different, DC cartoon movies they have out. Like they do a really good job.
Yeah, and I love it. I honestly, I don't know if it's just that since we as a geek going audience have decided to expect more, and so everybody has kind of raised their game, or if it's if they, honestly, to me, it just seems like they have the right people in there doing the right things, and that's why we get all this cool shit.
Well, I think you more like you have fans of the stuff in there now. Before, it was a very exclusive club, and I think they wouldn't let anybody in that loved the stuff, and now you have people who actually love the thing they're doing.
Well, before I think before was the generation that created this stuff, and now we're experiencing the generation that grew up on it. Like people that were kids and and watched all this, and read Marvel comics and watched Star Wars and read DC comics and God forbid watched, Adam West's Batman. And they were like, I want to do this one. Like, I want to grow up and I want to do stuff with all this stuff. I want to do something. And they grow up and they become animators and directors and writers and now they get to work with the properties that they've like that not only are they so passionate about, but they're also so familiar with that all this stuff kind of is like weaving together. And I love it. Oh, I love it so much. Speaking of Marvel Comics, we also had my Marvel brain exploded this week because not only did we get an Ant-Man trailer, which who the fuck thought they'd make Ant-Man cool? It's like the Aquaman of insects. It's like I can talk to bugs. People are like, yeah, that's great. That's great, Hank. Sit down. I'm an Avenger too. Yeah, we know. It's okay.
Now get the termites out of the building.
Look, guys. I got a note from the city. That's great. And Captain America's like, you know what? We're gonna put this right here on the fridge. That way, every time Iron Man walks by, he can see it.
That's great. Thanks, man.
But yeah, like they made Ant-Man cool. Like I watched that trailer and I was like, I have to see this movie.
Yeah,
I mean, they went with kind of the ultimate storyline where Michael Douglas is playing Hank Pym as the person that develops the suit, the technology to be able to like shrink down to, very small size and talk to ants and, everything else. And then someone else comes along and steals the suit. And that is I'm trying to think. Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd is playing that character, steals the suit, and then that's Ant-Man. So Hank Pym still builds the technology, but Paul Rudd, is the one that's going to use it. And I'm fine with it. He's the Aquaman of insects.
Yeah, I thought the funniest part of that trailer is when they sink down to size and they're fighting on that train set. And like
Yes.
this huge battle, and then it zooms out into real life, and it's like beep beep honk.
The Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yeah.
Like you hear this giant roar, and then it just pans out, and you see the little train set, and the train just falls off the tracks. Boop, boop.
But yeah, that looks pretty legit. I know that seems like it's been in production for a long time, so I was kind of curious at how it would end up. But Paul Rudd seems to be pretty decent in the trailer, and everything else on there seems pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay, so Ant-Man trailer. I'm totally down to watch this movie, and it wasn't really that I wasn't before. I'm just like, it's fucking Ant-Man. Like this might be the one that I don't get like pumped for, and it's out in July, and I'm like, but there it is. I watched the trailer, and I'm like, I'm in. Just shut up. I just want, like, at this point, like, I think I should just walk into Marvel Studios and just be like, you know what, just take all of my money. Just shut up and take every single red cent I have. Because not only did we get an Ant-Man trailer, we got fucking Daredevil.
Now, I haven't seen any of this stuff yet. Have you watched it?
I'm saving myself. I'm saving myself on it. I haven't dove in head first yet. I have kind of cherry picked some clips and kind of watched those on my own. And oh my God, that show looks so fucking good. Like so fucking good. Because the thing is like, okay, you see, Iron Man like punch a guy, and you see Captain America punching people, and it's like this big, like bombastic, these big bombastic fights between, these larger than life heroes and this, either space aliens or fucking superpowered whatever, like the AIM agents, these guys that have these like flame powers and shit like that. But with this, it's something with Daredevil, it's completely different, and they play it fucking different. Like, Daredevil's beating the shit out of people, but it's almost, I mean, like, when Daredevil's like, when Daredevil hits or gets hit, it looks like two people having a fight. It's not like, superheroes having a fight.
It's more down and dirty, just like a normal vigilante type fight instead of this
Exactly.
over the top
It's
thing.
yeah. And honestly, like, I mean, I've only seen like one big fight scene, and it honestly reminds me of like Americanized versions of like Chinese action movies.
Oh, sweet. So like the old style over the top, or well, does
Yeah,
it seem
like
over
kind
the
of like
top or
not really like super over the top, but like just that like straight choreographed like fight.
like Bruce
Like
Lee
just
type stuff?
exactly. It's like watching like a Chow Yun Fat movie like Bangkok Dangerous or movies along those lines where it's just or Jet Li or shit like that. It's just fucking people beating the shit out of each other. And it's awesome. It's fucking awesome. The one fight I saw it was like the thing starts out it starts out with these I think they're that these Russian mobsters have kidnapped this kid. And so the kid's like in a room and the camera starts out like kind of like showing like the lay of the land. Like you see this hallway and these gangsters in one room and some gangsters in another room. And they just kind of like the camera just kind of like weaves in and out of these rooms. And then it's almost like setting the stage. It's like you're watching a fucking play. Okay.
All
So
right.
like you see the camera and it's kind of, moving around and you're like, okay, so there's guys here and there's guys here and this kid's in this room or whatever. And then you see fucking Daredevil and he just fucking just annihilates these guys. And it's like 7 minutes of just like people just beating the shit out of each other. And it's amazing. It's amazing to fucking watch.
And how much of that do you know? Have they made a lot of it like an origin story, or is it pretty much he's already existed and they've built the world
Uh
around him?
the I mean, the world around him is New York City. Like Daredevil's world. That's like, you look at like Iron Man and Captain America and stuff like that, and they operate on kind of like this global scale. Like Iron Man's flying all over the fucking place, and I mean Thor's in other goddamn dimensions. But Daredevil, it seems like Daredevil has always been focused on in Hell's Kitchen. Like that's his turf. He's almost like this one man gang in Hell's Kitchen. Like that's his piece that he's that's carved out. So we're talking like about 5-6 blocks in New York. Like that's Daredevil's domain. And you get the grittiness. Like I get like it seems like they shot it in New York, so you get that New York kind of authentic. I mean, it's authentic. The whole like the camera moves around and it looks authentic, and you have Daredevil, blind guy becomes a lawyer, and by night he puts on a mask and beats the shit out of people. Okay, I get it. That's cool. I'm down. But from the clips I've seen, I'll say this: that number one, he pulls off a very convincing like Matt Murdock / Daredevil. Like he to me embodies that character.
All right.
It's one of those things where like, oh my god, like you can't. It's almost like watching Benedict Cumberbatch's Sherlock. Like you watch that and you're like, how could anybody else have done this
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah,
or
that
be
makes
this
sense.
character? The other thing is you get that grittiness, you get that dirtiness, like everything. It seems like it has like this like fluorescent kind of glow to it at night, like like that kind of like hard light on shit, and like everything looks kind of like dirty and stuff like that. It honestly reminded me a lot of Fight Club.
Oh, nice.
Just the way like the way it looks, like just the look of everything.
Yeah, some of the stuff I've heard recently is like it's a pretty like darkly shot move or TV show. Like it's sometimes hard to see what's going on just because it's shot in such a dark kind of setting.
Yeah.
Like everything's happening at night. All this stuff is you can kind of see things happening, but you have to really focus just because it's like it's There isn't any extra light when you're fighting in an alley at midnight.
Right. Exactly. And it just it's almost like you could just see the or smell the city and the dirt, and like you can see like the grime on the lens almost. It's uh the other thing, Vincent D'Onofrio
How's he doing in
as
there?
the fucking Kingpin. I watched a couple clips of him, and I love his performance. I love his performance as the Kingpin, because he kind of he comes off like you get that kind of Tony Soprano kind of feel, like not Tony Soprano in the sense that he feels kind of humanized. I mean, there is a moment I watched where he does kind of like you do kind of sympathize with him a bit or empathize with him as a character. But I was kind of thinking like you get that Tony Soprano vibe when he's fucking like pissed off and beating the shit out of people.
He still seems human, but like you said, he'll still beat somebody up and kill him. He's not. The moment you feel any kind of sympathy for him, he does something like that. You're like, oh, well, he's still a bad guy.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like I said, I'm holding myself off on it because I get the feeling that it's going to be, because there's 13 episodes, to that first season of Daredevil. I mean, they've already signed on for season 2. And from what I understand, by the end of this season, like, you get Daredevil in costume fighting people by episode 2. And then you get Daredevil in his like, that red costume, like what everybody kind of knows him as. Like he starts off in like this red and black outfit, which was in the comics. He did wear that for a while. But everybody kind of remembers him in that straight red kind of like skit, like diver suit almost.
Yeah, I wonder if you look at Marvel, it seems like that's what they've done really well is they don't like the origin stories, they don't stretch out too long because it seems like with a lot of these stories we kind of have an idea of what everything is. So why stretch that out for, an hour 20 before you see them in their actual suits?
Exactly. Exactly. And so by the end of the first season, from what I've seen, by the end of the first season, he's in that red suit. I mean, he's in costume, like I said, by episode 1 or 2, but he's in like that classic red by the end of the show. Or by the end of this season. But yeah, I get the feeling that it's going to be one of those things like if I start watching it, it's going to like kill my weekend. Like I'm going to get sucked in and then like lose 2 days of my life.
Yeah, I love how it seems like this is the wave of the future with like Netflix and things like that where they take these things, it's like, hey, here's everything in 2 days, enjoy.
But that's, is that healthy? Is that healthy for us as a society? Because I almost wonder if it isn't better that we were getting like, if we were getting when we were getting these shows like week to week, like they were just it's like giving a kid like like sugar.
Yeah.
It's like like here, have a tablespoon of sugar. Have another tablespoon of sugar in 2 days. But now they're like, here's a 5-pound bag of sugar. Do what you will. I eat the fucking sugar. I'm like,
I need more sugar.
Where's the next bag?
Yeah, I feel like I know it sucks sometimes when you got to wait week to week for some shows, but do you feel like you focus more if you only are going to watch one show a week? Or because I know whenever I binge watch, I feel like I miss so much because there's like 12 episodes I'm trying to get through in 3 days. So I just sit there and watch it, hit the next one, watch it, hit the next one, watch it. And I'm sure
Yeah.
I get less out of it than if I waited.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so you think that if you didn't like take a show like Daredevil, like you're afraid that if you didn't like watch them back to back that you would forget stuff and miss stuff. And so like very small references, like down the line you would miss because it'd been 3 weeks since you saw the episode, not 2 hours.
Well, it's kind of double edged because if you do wait week to week, sometimes, busy lives and things like that, you kind of forget those little things. But if you're watching each one back to back to back, sometimes since there's just so much, it's almost like overload scenario, and you miss things there as well. So I guess it just depends on your personality and I guess the mood you're in as you're watching.
I have no self-control, so they drop an entire season on me. I watch that season in, 2 days. And then people are like, "What happened to you? You disappeared for 2 days." I'm like, "Fucking Daredevil, man." Like, that's what's gonna happen. Like, you're not gonna like, I'm not gonna be answering phone calls and texts for 2 days. Like, that's what happened to me.
Mom, Dad's still on the couch. I don't think he's showered in 3 days.
It's okay, honey. I think he's on episode 12.
Just give him another 20 minutes.
It'll all be over soon. So yeah, I'm holding off on it. I need, there's other things I need to do right now, and so I think that I'm gonna try and, like, if once I have, like, a free weekend or something like that, then I'll be like, okay, like, I'll watch one episode and then I'll watch all 13, and then I'll be like, what day is it? I don't even care because this show's so good. Like, I know I'm going to love it, and that's the only, we're gonna get more shows after Daredevil.
They have another series, right? I mean, they got a second season of
Jessica
Daredevil.
Jones is
Yeah.
Jessica Jones is gonna be the next one.
Well, all I know is if they bring Punisher onto Netflix, like I'm renewing my contract to Netflix for sure. Because that's one thing I wish they would put on there, because that's such an awesome character they could do so much with.
I'll tell you what. I think. How about you do the 1 month free trial, and then you watch Daredevil for 3 days, and then you can tell me about it. Because, like I said, from the clips online, I know I'm gonna fucking love it.
Can live
I
vicariously.
mean, I
through
love
me
the
on
comic.
it.
I mean, the comic was great. I mean, blind guy that's beating the shit out of people, and he fights like Batman, but he's not like a gajillionaire, and with all these fucking kick-ass gadgets. All he had was like this billy club that did all this cruel, crazy shit.
I guess like his superpower is that he's like basically had echolocation, so he kind of was like Batman, I guess, or like a bat.
Yeah, I mean, his quote unquote superpower was that since he was blind, his other senses were like super heightened, and so it gave him like almost like a sixth sense. And you actually kind of see it in the show, because like that fight scene I was talking about, at one point he goes up to one of the doors, and he just puts his hand on the door, and just kind of like, I mean, for lack of a better word, he's kind of like seeing the room by putting his hand on the door. And he's like, like he's, in his head it's like, okay, there's 4 guys in there, and blah blah blah,
Using some kind of infrared type stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost kind of like that. Like he touches the door, and then it looks so good. It looks like a show I'm gonna watch, and then we're gonna have to spend like an entire like 3 hours talking about. So I'm holding off on it.
I always love that about Marvel, is that like you talk about a character like that, and they always try to have some kind of like semi-scientific reason how it would work. Like uh with that, I mean, it's like, well, his senses are heightened, so he can sense heat more, so he can kind of use almost like an infrared, or his other senses of smell and things like that. Just it's cool how Marvel actually tries to like make it somewhat realistic.
And it seems like they did that in spades with Daredevil. Like from what I'm, because I mean, I've heard other people talk about it too, and everybody's just like, everything just seems so plausible, and everybody's and not just the way it works, and the way his quote unquote superpower works and stuff like that, but just down to like the way the actors perform, and the way they speak and what they say and how they say it. Like, everything just seems 100% believable.
Is there any? I haven't heard specifically, but is there any talks that somehow these Netflix series are going to coincide with the actual Marvel universe? Like I know they're in the same universe, but are they ever going to cross paths at any point?
Of course they fucking are. You don't think they are? Of course they are. Because you've got Daredevil, and then you're gonna have Jessica Jones. Luke Cage, they're setting up. They're going to do the Defenders,
Okay.
and the Defenders played a huge role in Civil War. So honestly, I'm thinking that they're going to put these shows out. Then you're going to have some sort of Defenders, like montage fucking shit, and then you're gonna start seeing some of these guys dropping Captain America 3, and then my head's gonna fucking explode, and I'm like, oh my god, all this is coming, and so am I. Like this, like
I just,
like
yeah, it's just amazing to think like at some point, like all this stuff has been like in existence for, 30, 40, 50 years. And nobody's were like, this would be a great idea for like a 20-year thing to do with movies, TV, everything. I would,
yeah, and
you
then
would
we'll
get
just
laughed out of a room.
you would, because everybody would be like, number one, like if we put that much money into this thing and it doesn't work, like we're all out of a job, and we don't want to take that risk.
This company is bankrupt if we do that.
Right. Yeah, and we're looking at a company, this is Marvel in the 90s. I mean, shit wasn't going that great on the movie side. And now it's like, I mean, I say they have like the Midas touch, but to me that's almost like an understatement.
Well, what's bombed? I mean, Iron Man 3 kind of sucked, but it still did well. I mean, has there been
Iron Man 3 did kind of suck. I think commercially it still did well.
The new Hulk was kind of
I was kind of like meh with Thor: The Dark World. I mean, I liked it. It was okay, but I don't know, it didn't have that wow factor like the original Iron Man, or like, Guardians of the Galaxy, or something like that.
But like our big question mark has always been Ant-Man. We've seen the new trailers and those look legit. So if they hit it out of the ballpark with Ant-Man, I mean, like you said, you might as well just go to the Marvel Studios and say, "Hey, how much do you want me to write you this check for? Because you're getting this money anyway."
Yeah, I just shut. Yeah, it's shut up and take my money. Just have it all.
I'm really curious about, so when this whole thing runs, so we get to Infinity War 2, which is I think pretty much considered the closing of this. What's going to go beyond that? Because those will probably make a gajillion dollars, so they can't just stop it. I mean, is there going to be a phase 4? Is there going to be a phase 5? I mean, are we going to be in our 60s and this is still going to be going on?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we can hope.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how they'd start changing shit up, but I mean, whatever. At this point, I'm just like, I don't care. Because apparently anything you do, I end up fucking falling in love with, so...
They're like Avengers 17. Howard the Duck takes over. I'm in. Whatever.
It's fine. I've heard rumors that they're talking about doing like Planet Hulk and World War Hulk.
I think that would be sweet.
Oh yeah, Planet Hulk would be bad as shit. And World War Hulk would be even more amazing. And now they've got Spider-Man back. Well, I mean, kind of back.
Well, they're gonna have his own movie, so I mean, yeah. And if they keep this deal up, I mean, you probably could get 2 or 3 more Spider-Mans out of the deal.
Not to mention the fucking appearances that you're gonna have with Spider-Man and all these other movies. I mean, he's going to be in Civil War. I mean, that's fact. I mean, what other movies are they just gonna drop him into? Be like, hey, look, Spider-Man's there. Hey, I'm here. What's up? Why am I here? I don't know, but why not? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, hey, it's me, Spider-Man. You guys are in New York, so I thought I'd make an appearance. And I'm just like, what?
Why do you have that S on your sleeve? Well, that's for Sony, advertising. So I guess, I mean, this is basically a big nerd-tastic. So, I mean, you have all this stuff from Marvel. You have Star Wars. And DC comes in late to the party, but they released the brand new Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
We caught we got a trailer for that. How long was that? That was like what, like a minute 10 or a minute 20?
No,
it was 2 minutes.
I think it was like 2:20. There's a lot of talking. There's not a ton of, like, you don't see a lot. there's an action shot of Batman coming out of looks like a wreckage. Superman makes the most appearances, and then you see the bat suit that he's gonna fight. These two will fight in, I guess.
Yeah, that like it's like a. I mean, I feel bad for making this, or a comparison, but he's in like a Hulkbuster kind of suit.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna let that one sit there.
I feel like I hope it isn't like this, but it almost feels like it's going to be like the kid who just isn't quite good enough, on the team, but tries really, really, really hard. He's the guy on the sideline who's clapping all the time and jumping up and down. And whenever there's a timeout, he's smacking all the guys on the butt, being like, yeah, great job, guys.
Yeah.
But just can't quite, hold the mustard.
I mean, honestly, what I'm hoping, like best case scenario, I'm hoping that they're going for that kind of like Dark Knight Returns kind of story where, Bruce is, I mean, not old, but I mean, Bruce is older. Like he still has that mind. He just doesn't have like the physicality that he used to.
Well,
and then they put him in that suit, and him and Batman go toe to toe. Because that animated sequence they had, I mean, the comic was great, but that animated sequence they had in Dark Knight Returns between Kal-El and Bruce, amazing, so good.
Yeah, I'm really curious. I just don't know what they're gonna do. It seems like all the backstory of Batman has happened, and then like all these other superheroes have been around, but nobody's noticed it until Superman gets there. So it's almost like you're taking 20 years or 10 years of the prime of everything and saying, okay, all that stuff already happened. Now we're here, and it's just
the thing that kind of pisses me off when it comes to DC is like everything is so fractured when it comes to like television and movies and comics and this and that. Like everything just seems all over the place. Like it's almost like they're not entirely sure how to go about putting things together, and so like everything's just kind of like it's like giving a kid a handgun. Like they're just kind of like waving it around and shooting in the air. Well, to the point where like okay, so we're gonna have a Flash movie with a different actor than the one that's in the show, The Flash.
Well, the Green Arrow, that's going to be somebody different too.
Yeah.
It seems like...
And that Arrow series, like, people love it.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Why are you not... Everybody loves that Arrow. Like, everybody loves Arrow. It seems like people are digging The Flash. Why can't those guys be in a movie? What's wrong with that?
I mean, you have this Gotham series going on all on its own that doesn't really relate to anything either. It's... The interesting thing is, I think Marvel kind of sat down and says, okay, we're going to try this thing out. We're going to create an Iron Man. We're going to try and do this thing. So here's the big picture of what we want to do. And they just try to like get little bunts. They hit some singles, and they end up actually hitting doubles and triples, and before you know it, they're hitting home runs. And they just kind of built this, this castle one brick at a time. And with DC, it's like they're just all over the land trying to, put bricks all in these different places. Like, oh, well, I'll build the foundation over here. Oh, I'll build my foundation over here. And it's like, oh, well, there's 350 yards between the two of them. What are we going to put there? And it's like,
yeah.
I don't know. And then
I don't know. I guess that was the way. Like it always happened. I mean, when you think about it, like television and movies, television and movies, and I mean, we talk about like 20 years ago. I mean, comic books. People said comic book movie, and you get laughed out of the room. But I'm saying, like in general, like television and movies didn't really play nice. Like things were usually kind of separate. The TV things that happened on the small screen were different than things that happened on the big screen.
Yeah, but DC's completely taken it. Like they have a proven like game plan in front of them. What Marvel's done, and they had all this like, okay, this will work. people want to see this. Let's do this. I mean, you follow the same plan Marvel did, and they're going to be fine. But they just, I don't know if they just don't want to seem like they're copying Marvel.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like I'm thinking that they don't want to get that impression. Like, well, we're doing what Marvel's doing, and so I mean, like if you okay, I guess I see the point. Like they don't want to seem like copycats, but like the money still spends the same.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of spiteful. It's like, oh, well, that round thing that they've been putting on these wagons, that seems to work really, really well. I don't want to build the same thing. I'm going to build a square one, and because I
Yeah,
don't want to seem like I'm
I'll build
copying.
a couple round ones, and then I'll build a square one because I'm different, and I have to differentiate myself.
I mean, it's the same, right? It's I get from point A to point B the same way, right? It's like, well, you get halfway there and they cancel everything. So, but so I mean, kind of not to bash on DC too much, but I did recently see because we both talked like they are amazing when it comes to cartoons. Their
Oh
cartoon
my
shows are
god.
like just spot
I'll
on.
watch like there you go. Like I'll watch a DC cartoon before a Marvel cartoon like almost any given day of the week. Like the Disney's got some Marvel cartoons like Ultimate Spider-Man and stuff like that. If you give me the choice between that and the Justice League, hands down I'll pick the Justice League.
Yeah.
Justice League was a cartoon. I cried at one point watching the Justice League. It was a fucking cartoon. And Batman was doing something, and I don't really want to get into it, but
Are you
I
gonna
I
tear
was
up?
sitting a little bit. I'm sitting in my living room by myself watching the Justice League, and like I'm starting like shit's starting to roll, like tears are starting to roll, and I'm like, this is a fucking cartoon. I'm like, what is happening? I'm like, did I smoke too much weed? What I don't.
That's awesome. Uh, but recently they came out with the Batman versus Robin. I don't think you've seen it yet.
I haven't. But it looked fucking stellar because they did Court of Owls. And
Yeah.
that was the Court of Owls was the comic, the Batman story arc that drew me back into reading Batman.
Yeah, it was such a good run. And I mean they didn't stick specifically, 100% to the comic. They split it up just enough that it made sense. But I mean, I rented it, and very rarely does my wife, one, watch cartoons, two, stand around to watch shows. And she was like, I'm going to bed, walks behind the couch and is like, what the hell are you watching? I'm like, Batman. Next 35, 40 minutes, she's sitting there watching the whole thing with me. Like
Oh,
it
that's
drew her
awesome.
in.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, and I rented it on Amazon Prime, and I loved it. And like right before I went to bed, I'm like, okay, go to Amazon Blu-ray. It's gonna be here in like a week. Like I think it's got great rewatchability. And it does what I think like Marvel does with their movies is they have like specific scenes that are almost pulled right from the comic book. And that's what they did with
Yes.
this. There's a spot where he says a specific line and he does that in the show. And you can
Yes.
deviate from the comics enough, but if you have those big important scenes, it pulls people in. You're like, oh, I recognize that, like what Walking Dead kind of does. It's the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like little things happen and and they may be innocuous and some people are like, "Oh my god."
Yeah,
Wah!
it's not too much that it's pandering, but it fits completely right with the scene.
It's a tip of the cap. That's why I was
Yeah,
it's just that nod or it's that little like turn and wink to the camera, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. But it's so frustrating to be in this world right now and to see Batman has basically been one of the biggest franchises when it comes to comic book movies, and it's I mean, if you go in there in 2016 to watch the Superman versus or Batman v Superman, and it is just a jumbled up mess. I mean, people are going to bail pretty quick. It's like, oh well, in a month, the new Captain America comes out, or the new Avengers comes out. I'm not sure what the specifics are on those, but you'd be like, well, I'm gonna not go to these DC movies because
Actually,
they
I think Captain America comes out the same day. So
I
there
think
you are. So this is what's going to tear your heart out. Is you're going to be standing there at the theater with this money in your hand, and you're going to be looking at these two different movie posters, and you're going to be like, "Where the fuck am I going to go?"
if you okay, so you ask me right now, I already know which one I would say. If that day comes, I think Batman v Superman has already said they're going to change the date, but if that day comes, you're sitting there, Captain America: Civil War, Batman v Superman. You can only go to one on Friday. Which one are you going to?
I was going to hit like Step It Up 5. Is that
That comes out the
that?
weekend after. I already got my tickets for that
Oh,
one.
oh.
Listen, you son of a bitch. I can't help it. I got dragged to 3 of those.
So at this point for me, it's gonna be Marvel, and it's not just because I mean, like I don't know, I've spent the last like probably 10, 15 minutes like sucking Marvel's dick for lack of a better word.
Well,
But
they are sponsoring this week's episode. They reached out and said, "Hey, we
oh
need some
god, if they would
advertisement."
only.
Nobody's been coming to see these movies.
Oh, if only. At this point, it's not just because I'm like this Marvel fanboy or whatever. I fucking love Batman. And I'm actually like that the Justice League cartoon and even, the movies and with that Superman Doomsday movie, like I'm fond of Superman. But at this point, I mean, somebody has a proven track record and somebody kind of doesn't.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I don't know
I
about how
will
you
I will
feel.
probably go see both. Just I'm going to see one first.
And really, I mean, I think with the Marvel stuff too, like you feel pretty vested into it. At least I do, because I mean, I've seen pretty much every single one in theaters, except maybe a couple. But I've seen, I think, all of them. So I mean, it would feel almost blasphemous not to go see it.
See, and that's kind of an effect that I guess didn't think about, is the fact that, like, yeah, these are separate. I mean, they're separate characters, and they have their own stories and everything else. But it's almost like one gigantic anthology of movies. Like, if you feel like if you miss one, then you're not going to know. You're not going to know what happens in the next movie, even though they're completely different fucking movies.
Well, that's how they get you on the end scene stuff. It's like, oh, I got to stay for the ending of this because it's going to relate. And it's a fucking giant dinosaur type thing bouncing around on Earth. Like, oh, well,
Yeah,
wasted my time there for Thor 2.
yeah,
But you go back for the next one. I mean, Thor 3, I'll be there.
yeah. Me too. I did hear that there is not going to be a post-credit scene for Avengers 2.
That's what I heard too. And I don't know if I buy that or not.
I don't know if I buy it either. Like the internet said it, so it must be true, right?
Well, yeah.
I don't want to take the chance. That's my thing.
Well, what's awesome, I learned this.
Like, no, I think the internet might have lied to me.
What I learned is if you watch you sometimes they have a post movie right before the actual credits scene, and then they have the post credits. So what I do
Right.
is I watch that, and when credits roll, I hit the bathroom real quick, hurry up and run back, and then I can catch the rest or the end credits. So I don't have to sit there
Oh.
for about 4 or 5 minutes, about to pee myself.
Ah, I see what you're doing there.
Yeah, and you beat the rush to the bathroom because everybody's like, "Oh, I can't leave yet." And it's like, "Well, fuck you. I'm gonna go piss and come back and miss the theme song, but whatever."
So point is that this summer looks awesome. / Christmas. Also, I didn't even mention this. Mad Max.
Yeah,
Like, this one kind of came out of nowhere on me. I mean, I've kind of seen some, I've seen like the trailers and stuff for it, but fucking Mad Max, man.
Well, this is the summer of the franchises, or the year of the franchises, because you have Mad Max, and then you have Jurassic Park. I think there's a couple other big franchises coming out. With
Oh
movies
yeah,
this year.
Jurassic World. See, I didn't even think about Jurassic World either.
Yeah, there's a lot.
But
of
yeah,
choices.
that Mad Max movie actually looks fucking decent.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know how it's going to go, but it seems like a big chunk of the movie is like one giant car chase.
well, I'm a big Tom Hardy fan. I guess he signed on for like 2 or 3 more of these. but it's just this like unrealistic, over the top, apocalyptic movie that mixes like dark humor and gore and all this stuff together for like this perfect blend of movie going greatness. And Charlize Theron's in it with a shaved head.
Yes, yes, she is.
But I know a lot of
Um,
people are going to be talking
did
about these
you
things.
ever watch any of the old ones?
I watched a bit of the first one, and I didn't realize it took place like the first part of the movie takes place like current time before the apocalypse, I think. So that kind of threw
Hmm.
me off. I think I've caught bits and pieces of the second one, but I haven't watched them all the way through.
Okay, so you haven't really you didn't catch the Road Warrior and Beyond Thunderdome and
I mean, like bits and pieces of it. It's kind of like probably a little less than Star Wars for me, but whenever it's one of those shows that seemed like it was always on like a TBS or TNT or USA or something like that, and I just always catch bits and pieces of it, and it was enough to know that's like, well, I've seen this part, so I'll come back to it, but you never get
yeah,
back to
yeah,
it, kind of
yeah.
thing.
I mean, they were. I mean, I gotta say, like, they were decent movies. And one another thing I will say about it is you don't really get a lot of those post-apocalyptic kind of genre picks anymore. Like those ones to me are very far and few between. So, and I fucking love them. Like, I mean, take a game like Fallout. Like, tell me you don't want to see that on the fucking big screen.
Yeah, I mean, right now we've fallen into the big thing of zombies being the apocalyptic scenario of choice. But you have Waterworld or Fallout, or you have a lot of these cool ideas that if they ran with them, because those are the scenarios where you get more of a human interest piece, because it's like, what would you do in this scenario where it's not the scenario itself, it's the humans that are stuck in it. Like zombie movies aren't really about the zombies, they're about the humans that are
I totally
living.
agree. I mean, and I think that's what's making. I think that's what people are kind of gravitating towards when it comes to television in general. It's not really so much the it's not really so much like the big crazy weird event or anything else. It's the relationship between characters. I mean, like you take a show like Arrow and I mean, yeah, he's putting arrows in fucking guys and everything else, but it seems like that show is more about the way characters are interacting. The other shit is just stuff that happens.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like, I just thought about this, but it's almost coming full circle. And like during the first, real storytelling, like plays and those type of things, it was more about the story, because like action and special effects weren't there. And all of a sudden, we had a decent stretch where it's like special effects are the thing, and now people are like, okay, well, I've seen cars turn into robots. I've seen buildings explode. It's kind of to the point now where it's like, I want a story. I want human interactions. I want character development. All that other pretty stuff is cool, but I want to see the real deal. Like I want to see I want to see
Yeah.
the story.
I I mean the best example I can think of when it comes to a show like that, I would say would be Buffy. I mean, yeah, she
Yeah, good example.
kills vampires and, saves the world and demons and blah 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 blah, but I mean 90% of that show is the way Buffy interacts with Xander, and Buffy interacts with Willow, and Willow interacts with Tara, and it's the relationship that the characters are having with each other. Buffy and Angel, Spike and Xander, or Spike and Giles, or Giles and Buffy. Like that show was about the way that about things happen and all the characters come together, break apart or whatever to deal with the event, but there's still story arcs that are happening between characters that go from season to season.
Yeah, it was a metaphor, Rich. I mean, even though they were fighting real demons, the demons that were really challenging were their own demons. Those were the true enemies.
Wow, that's fucking deep.
I know.
That came out of fucking nowhere. That actually kind of threw me for a loop.
That's what I wrote my college paper on in some English class. So
I pulled it
not
out
really,
and I'm
but
reading it right now. I just read that was the thesis statement. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Terminator. Also this summer,
Yeah, it's
where we
coming out
get to
pretty quick.
see a way fucking old Arnold Schwarzenegger say the same lines that he said for the last 25 years.
We get to see the mother of dragons with dark hair. See how that
Yeah.
goes.
Oh, Daenerys. Game of Thrones started, and you want to talk about, like, okay, we had the metaphor earlier about the spoonful of sugar. Yeah, I'm getting spoon-fed Game of Thrones now, and I fucking hate it. I caught the first episode. I'm going to watch the second episode probably in the next 2 days because I don't like this.
Yeah, I won't see that until it probably
Now
comes
I'm
out on
somebody
Blu-ray.
I'm
Unless
somebody that had waited until season 4 to catch up on the entire show. So I went through 4 5-pound bags of sugar known as Game of Thrones, and now I'm getting it spoon fed to me, and I can't stand it. This shit's driving me fucking crazy.
You just gotta have all your sugar at once, man. But yeah, it's gonna be a crazy couple months for movies. I'm pretty pumped because it seems like the last month or two there just hasn't been anything out. So I'm ready for, like, movie after movie coming out. It's about time.
Yes. I'm gonna have to make like a theater budget. I'm gonna have to, put in theater money than like my monthly budget. Well, I have to spend $40 this week at the theater
There's one movie coming out that I need to see.
5 times.
All right. Well, before we start doing some housekeeping, got any Richard's closing thoughts?
I don't need closing thought. Star Wars. I mean, I granted, like, you have to wait until Christmas, but come on, man. Like, Harrison Ford and Peter Mayhew in the Chewbacca costume at the end of that trailer. Like, did you like? I made an audible sound. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I love the line, Chewie, we're home.
Oh, I came on my pants. Go see Star Wars. I'm just gonna say it now. I think I'm just gonna make that my closing thought from now until Christmas. Go see Star Wars. Because why the fuck not? It's Han and Chewie and Luke, lightsabers. So yeah, that's it.
All right, well, I'll do a little bit of housekeeping.
Housekeeping.
Our website is languageofbromance.com. Follow us on Twitter at languageofbro. Shoot us an email at eatthebeaver@languageofbromance.com. Like us on Facebook and leave a comment and subscribe on iTunes and Stitcher.
And don't forget to check us out on the Pod Brothers Network.
The best podcast site on the internet.
Because they got lightsabers. Because they all want to be Jedis.
And also, we're coming up on our 1-year anniversary in about 10 weeks or so. It'd be July 21st. We'd love if any of you guys would like to shoot us some kind of audio, anything about our show, or just to say hey, or say, you guys are ass faces. If you guys can get those to us, about the 1st of July, we'll throw in kind of our big special year episode.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else before I close her out?
I want to see videos. You know what? Ideally I want is someone taking video of a cat in a Star Wars outfit, and then they just like move the cat's mouth.
I'm sure it's out there somewhere.
It's gotta be. There's a meme. There's a meme.
All right. Well, that's all the bromance we have for this show. I'm Sean.
And I'm Richard.
And I say we eat the beaver.
Fucking Star Wars. Are you kidding me?
Star Wars, man.
Yeah. oh, and Pitch Perfect 2.
Oh, yeah. Let's go. The show starts in 20 minutes. Let's go.
That was a joke.